Hello, welcome and a very good evening. And today I have a little refurbishing video for you, and you can already guess what it is. I guess everyone knows this device here in the corner. It's a Game Boy. It's actually a Game Boy Color from 1998, I think. Let's have a look here. It at least says copyright Nintendo, and it is probably at least 20 years old. I was very surprised to learn that the Game Boy Color came out only in 1998, because by that time the original Game Boy was already 9 years old and they didn't upgrade it in any way. So yeah, but this Game Boy here actually has a story to it. It belongs to my late mother-in-law. And yeah, so this is basically family heritage, and I want to restore it for my wife because her mother used to play this a lot when she was still able to do so. She had this Game Boy Color basically only for one game, and that is Tetris. And as you can see, this cartridge was definitely played with quite a bit. And it still works. But the Game Boy has a couple of problems. So we can insert the cartridge and turn the machine on. And let's see if we can capture it. Yeah, okay. You can roughly see how it works. I'm waiting for the copyright message to disappear. And yeah, sound works. When I try to start a game, the start button doesn't do anything. Cursor or D-pad works so far. Start button has to be pressed really hard, so it's probably corroded or dirty or whatever. And yeah, so it's a bit annoying. Down button also needs very hard pushes. The rest more or less works fine. A and B keys are still good, but you can see that this area definitely needs some work. Also, this thing has been played with for more than 10 years, probably 15 years. And yeah, it accumulated quite a lot of dirt, as it would be if it has been in use for many hundreds of days, and we want to clean that off. It's actually not badly scratched or anything, so the display also works. There are no pixel errors. I don't want to replace the screen. I just want to leave it as it is, kind of as a memento, but just remove the dirt, because I think that would be nice, that it looks a little bit newer but still a bit worn. Because it has seen a lot of things. So basically this is more a conservation effort, and we could probably just clean the D-pads and they might work. But then again, on eBay you can get these replacement pads for something like €3. So I'm definitely gonna try these out, because these will last for another 15 to 20 years, I guess. And what else do we need? Well, if you take a look at the back side of the Game Boy, you can see probably, let me zoom down a bit, you can see these screws are actually tri-wing screws. So you need a bit set which has that, which is over here. Then we want to clean this thing, and I recommend using these anti-static ESD safe brushes. I have a whole bag of those, and each is €1 maybe. So for less than €10 you can definitely get a bag full of these. Also, I got a bunch of other games for very cheap, like Tetris and Super Mario Land, and they have some problems as well. They have some issues because those were played by a different person and accumulated dirt and grime. So if I run Tetris, sometimes, well, this time it seems I'm lucky, but once in a while it will not work. This time it's fine, but we'll clean the cartridge as well. We don't have to open it. Yeah, this is definitely looks less worn out. The Super Mario Kart didn't work at all at first, and I gave it a clean. And I'm gonna show you how to do this on the Tetris card as well. So what do we need for the cleaning? First of all, copious amounts of isopropyl alcohol. This whole bottle costs maybe like less than 10 euros if you buy it from a pharmacy, and it lasted me for 2 years now for cleaning all the PCBs and other stuff. And for the cartridges and contacts of the cartridges, we will use this T6 contact and tuner spray. It's basically for cleaning off corrosions on contacts and connections, cleaning potentiometers, and making everything run again, which might be oxidized. There are different brands in other countries, but in Germany I think this is the classic one, and it works pretty reasonably well. It contains nasty stuff, I guess. You have to be a little bit careful, I guess. I think it's like washing benzene or petroleum probably in there, but it's in a little spray can. You don't need much. You need very, very little of that, and then you can clean off the stuff. Maybe we can do this at first. So I'm gonna do this by taking off the cap. Then you need to get this red straw, put it very carefully on top, because otherwise it will already spray. And then you carefully spray a very tiny amount. So this is already more than enough. Into the cartridge port. And then you can wipe it down with one of these anti-static ESD safe brushes to get all the grime and the corrosion off the pads. And then you can leave it to dry. They will accumulate dirt due to the friction and the dirt accumulated. Then you take a soft tissue. Be careful that it doesn't rip off or anything. You don't want any fluff in there. And I'm gonna wipe down the cartridge. The whole thing, stuff might travel down the cartridge and come out of the back here, so you can wipe it down if that happens. If you put in too much of that, just leave it to dry. It doesn't harm anything, it will evaporate eventually. Might take a couple of minutes, half an hour. But while this is drying, we can already open up the Game Boy and try to clean the different parts. So let's put these aside. Take the Game Boy and open it up. So this is the bit that we are looking for, the 3.0 tri-wing. Take note, down there are 2 more screws that I didn't see, and they keep everything together. So these are the 2 plastic parts that just fell out. This one is for the infrared receiver and LED, and this is the power switch. And we're gonna make some more light so that we can see better. Alright, so the rest of the PCB is screwed down with 1, 2, 3 screws that I can see. And these are just standard Phillips screws. Driver. Yeah, this will come out. We'll have to be careful with the LCD screen, I think, because there's a ribbon cable that probably goes to the screen, and I think the screen is glued in place. So we need to be careful not to rip the cable off. Also note the different screws, that you don't confuse them. So here we go. Let's see, we can open up the clamps at the top. Open up. Safely remove everything, that's good. So here's the PCB. The speaker is pretty dirty, so we will give that a very light cleaning. There's dirt around the pad areas. We'll just wipe it down with alcohol, I think. Put it aside for 1 minute. These are the pads, and I think you can you see that? Here, this looks already pretty worn. I think there's not much coating left. So I think we'll replace them for sure. They're really grimy and dirty. So I'll put them to the side. Same goes for these pads. These are the A and B buttons. They already look a bit worn, but they were still working. A and B buttons here as well, very dirty. They go. I will put everything here into a little plate and we'll douse them in alcohol. So the D-pad is definitely dirty. Needs to be replaced, I would say. And the D-pad itself is really filthy, so we'll clean that up. Now the screen, as I said, it looks to be glued in place. We'll leave that in and be very careful. Dirt is falling out of this case. We'll give this a wipe down as well, but we'll do that later. And I'll try not to get this too wet. The alcohol should evaporate simply, but there's a lot of dirt here in the speaker area because there are holes, so dirt can get in. This area needs to be more generously cleaned. So I'm gonna put this aside. Loads of alcohol. Be careful not to light any flame around this, nor around the T6 spray, because this is all flammable, of course. The alcohol will already wipe away all the grime. So, after a couple of minutes of scrubbing, I already noticed my hands are getting white as usual from the isopropyl. And these are not losing their dirt as much as I want to, plus the whole alcohol is already dirty as heck. So I'm gonna pour that out and rinse these in water. And yeah, then I'm gonna come back and refill this. So, we are back. The D-pad and the buttons look much better now. I haven't put any alcohol in there yet, because I think maybe we can just clean off the remaining stuff with the tissue. And you see that the screen is a bit scuffed. I will try some Brasso on that, I think, but it hasn't arrived yet. So this will be an episode later, or maybe just an update on YouTube. Yeah, I'm just gonna remove this excess grime here that's getting stuck in the corners of the case. And I'm not yet happy with the cutouts here for the buttons and the speaker grill. They are a bit hard to clean actually. I might get a Q-tip for that. Okay, there was a lot of dirt coming out of that, 2 Q-tips, but I think it's much better now. I think we can reassemble it. One thing to note is that you probably need to wipe down the plastic parts with a cloth, because the alcohol will loosen all kinds of like fatty residues that we people always have on our hands, and this is of course all covered in fatty grease from your hands, which is not a bad thing, but when you clean it off you just smear it with the IPA. It gets loosened and then you can just wipe it down with a tissue or a cloth, and that makes it look fine again. So let's put this back together and also take care of the new pads for the buttons. So first of all, the D-pad has to go in. There's a notch so that you don't put it in accidentally in the wrong direction. Then the B button, which is coated with some thingies at the side, and the same goes for the A button. And then we can put down the silicone mats for the buttons. Everything is coated by different sized holes and stuff, so you can't really go wrong, I think. Okay, that's in place. Then we can go to the PCB, carefully put that in again, putting in the screen ribbon cable, attaching it by pressing down on the black levers very carefully. Having a look at the PCB, you can see the Gameboy CPU, the color Gameboy CPU. This is probably the RAM, I guess. Then we'll put in the plastic window for the infrared. Then we need the switch, of course. Not sure which way it goes in. I have to check that. I think it's the other way around, yes. And then we should be able to close the lid. Yeah. But we forgot something. First, put in the PCB screws. And I think we should also wipe down the volume wheel once more, because I see still some grime left there. So all there's left to do is put in some batteries, put in a game, and try it out to see if that works as well. Oh, come on. Oh yeah, this looks good. Now to check the start button and the D-pad. Oh yeah, the start button works perfectly. Oh, and the down pad as well. Well, this is something completely different. Okay, I think this is a success. And actually for stuff like Tetris, I like the black and white screen better. Let's zoom in a bit. This looks like an original Game Boy. Well, not the green tint and not the ghosting, but I think the contrast is very nice on this display and it's very fast reacting. This is actually pretty nice. So yeah, this is it for today. And I must say, it turned out pretty well. The pad replacements work absolutely beautiful. We cleaned off a lot of the dirt on this machine. This will help with its longevity. And yeah, people from our family can now continue to honor the legacy of Grandma and continue playing Tetris or Super Mario Land and all that those other fun games. Because let's face it, the Game Boy is definitely a great machine and a total classic, an absolute classic. And the Game Boy Color even more so. And I like the 90s aesthetics here with the transparent plastic and everything. And yeah, it's actually a pretty rugged machine. And it survived 20 years. And I hope it survives for many, many decades more. So I thank you all for watching. I hope you have a nice evening. Please leave a comment, tell your Game Boy story that you have. And yeah, share, like and subscribe if you want to. Consider supporting me on Patreon if you have the means. If not, that's just fine. Definitely hope to see you in the next video. That's it for now. Bye.